Welcome to the Simon Racing Report. We have Graham Carroll here, Rebel Racing driver, F1 Esports driver at the moment. You know, Graham, I'm recording this right now. It's just ticked over to, what is the time? It's 12 a.m. here. It's a Wednesday morning, Tuesday in your time. It's the best. It's like a, what do people describe it on Instagram? It's like a play school or like a toy room behind you. What is this setup behind you? There's so many nice stuff, so many nice presents for you.
Yeah, it's some people are messaging me on Instagram saying it's like a toy factory and yeah, a room of dreams and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just my bedroom. And funny enough, but yeah, no, it's awesome. We obviously got the F1 Esports rig to practice on from home,
Yeah.
and then yeah, obviously all the other sim racing titles get done on the other rig, my Felt rig with a sort of Fanatic on it. So yeah, it's where I spend most of my time these days, and yeah, it's just hard to get me off there at night time, to be honest.
You know, the thing is, you haven't been on my podcast in 2 years. Is it 2 years or 3 years? 2 years.
I think it is 2 years, yeah.
I remember you were a year off winning the Pro Series. It was around the time of the Visa Vegas eRace. So yeah, it's been 2 years. I thought that Pro Series was going to be your biggest achievement in sim racing, that championship, and I don't think that's in your top 5 anymore.
The thing is, as well, though, like I still have it like in my heart, like when I used to do real racing, Formula Ford and stuff. Like we used to win championships. We won the biggest race, like Formula Ford. In sim racing, I've still like I won the Pro Series, had a few podiums in WCS,
Yeah.
but I'm still not done what I want to do, you know. And I might be 28-year-old, still feel relatively young, but yeah, I still want to. Not saying I'm going to win WCS. It's maybe something that's not really on my targets anymore. It was when I first started, but it's kind of even the Porsche thing. I don't know. It's just GT cars aren't really my thing. But don't get me wrong, I'd love to win it, but it's not something that's I'm setting out to do. But F1 Esports, maybe some other sort of competitions like a Visa Vegas eRace again. It'd be good to maybe try and win something like that. So yeah, I'm not done yet, but yeah, no, I've definitely had a good few years since last speaking to you. A lot's happened. Yeah, F1 Esports, all sorts of stuff going on. This Red Bull stuff. It's just it's pretty insane how much sim racing's changed since we last spoke. To be honest.
I know. And the thing is, you've been attracted to these big events. Like, I feel like we have a similar personality because I'm the type of driver that will go, hey, you know what? If it's open wheel, I'm racing it. But at the same time, if they're offering, 200K like the Visa Vegas E-Race, and it's open wheeler, which is a bonus, or it's another big event like F1 Esports, and even if, the platform that they're racing on, I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's the big stage. I feel like that's what you're attracted to as well. You love to get out there and race against the best of the best around the world.
Yep. Yeah, and 100%. Doesn't matter kind of what kind of car it is. I'll be there or track whatever. I'll be involved in it, and I'll definitely give it my 100%. This Porsche thing at the minute, like we just don't get on. Me and the car, we just do not get on. I had some hardware problems actually the first 5 weeks. We went to Bathurst and I was like 5/10 off a lap, maybe sometimes more, a lap. Um, and I knew sort of deep down, I knew it wasn't me. Like I've never been 5/10 off someone in my life when I put the time in. And then funny enough, I managed to come across some bloody the field of view calculator and iRacing and my graphic stuff. I just reset everything. Next again day, I was 5 seconds a lap quicker, 5/10 a lap quicker, sorry. And you know what it's like when you're struggling with a car. Every tiny little bit helps, and yeah, basically, I just don't know. It's the field of view calculator wasn't sort of taking my inputs in a way, and it's anyway. I'm glad I've kind of found the problem and got back onto the pace, but it
You're
still
almost
doesn't
top
help me
20
really.
now.
Yeah, it's got me sort of 21st, 3 points behind sort of 18th or 19th, and I said to people that I'd given up on the championship, and if I get a license, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I'm honestly not really fussed either way. There's going to be lots of competitions to do this year, and yeah, beating the likes of your Freddies or your Seb and the Max and all these quick guys in that car, it's going to be hard for me, you know. So I fully understand that, but if I get the license, I'll definitely get stuck in about it and give it a good go. But yeah, it's there's going to be a lot going on this year, so you've just got to you've got to almost plan out your year what you're going to do. But until these competitions get announced, you're kind of just sitting waiting, you know. So that's what it's
Well,
like at the minute.
so if I think about all of this, the first competition, because you had the Visa Vegas e-race, you've got potentially this iRacing Porsche World Championship to add. Let's go back to F1 Esports. Let's talk about that first. So
Yeah.
let's go back to not even the pro draft. Let's go pre-pro draft. How did you decide to enter this competition? What attracted you to F1 Esports? What made you want to go in?
It's just again what you said before. It's on the big stage. That's the next big sim racing event in a way. And
Yeah.
I'd done it the year before, and I got to the semi final, and I don't think I made it through.
No.
I'm sure. Put my hand on my heart. There was something on the day, but I can't really remember. Let's not get into it too much. But anyway, the first year got to semi-finals, never made it to the Abu Dhabi final. Then the last year, obviously, the reason the reason I went for it, it's just all the top guys do it. You know, it's just one of these things where all the quick guys get involved in it. And again, it's Formula One. You know, the biggest sort of racing brand out there, and what
Yeah.
they can do for esports and what they can do for us as a person. Look what they've done kindly for Brendan. You know, they've changed the guy's life. So yeah, just
Twice.
wanted to. It doesn't really matter for me what it is. I just want to get involved in it and sort of be the quickest. You know, it doesn't matter what game or what platform it's on. Just getting involved in it. So yeah, it was kind of tough. I was at Redline at the time actually, and I remember sort of me and Bono trying to qualify on the like hot lappy sort of 5 lap races against the AI. And, oh God, sat for days trying to do it and trying to beat people like Holzmann and Joni Törmälä and stuff, and they were just like seconds quicker than us, and we couldn't work it out.
And
But we got there.
Holtzmann, who's part of the Red Bull family now, he's probably one of the toughest people to beat in the world at hot lapping. He has so many, especially in the Codemasters F1 game, because I mean he's popular in iRacing, he's popular in R Factor, all these other sims. But when it comes to Codemasters F1, I think back in 2014 he held so many world records at so many tracks when it came to hot lapping, which is why it became a running joke that Patrick was a great hot lapper. But it was true. He was quick over one lap. He was a great qualifier.
Yeah, and honestly, the guy's insane. Like we were talking the other day in a chat, and someone mentioned China, and like Patrick's like, "That's my track, thank you." You know, like the guy is just a beast at F1. Honestly, it really is. But that's it. Everyone's got their strong points and their weak points, and yeah, no, give him his due. One of Patrick's strong points is F1. Well, any F1, 2018, 2017, whatever. And yeah, and he was insane at it. But yeah, trying to beat the guys in this qualifier was just like. And again, to be honest, deep down, like I think even like your Patricks and people would say the same. Like they know we're not like 2 seconds after 5 laps off. You know, like if everyone's in exactly the same thing, we're all pretty close. Like everyone really is. So yeah, no, it was. We finally got into the competition. Obviously, I had to go to the pro draft. Bono got swept up by McLaren. Sorry.
McLaren, yeah.
So he didn't have to go to the pro draft. So yeah, that was it. On to sort of down to Silverstone for the week there, getting assessed by all the teams and then the live pro draft and stuff. Yeah, it was an awesome week to be honest. To get to watch the F1 at Silverstone and the hottest day I've ever had in the UK. It's very rare. And then yeah, just everything, the passes we got, the sort of the extra wee bits and all the fun challenges we're doing over the course of the week and the weekend were yeah, it made it really, really enjoyable and getting to meet all the guys you're racing with as well. Again, it was cool. It was just a very nervous moment when we got to the live pro draft on the Monday in London. It was
Yeah.
nobody really knew what was going on, to be honest.
No, I didn't even know how the draft worked when I was first watching it. Because how did Bono get swept up before the draft? Because I thought it happened afterwards. Like I was really confused why some teams had 3 picks, some teams had 1. And then it was all over the place. Like, were you informed of all of this, obviously, when you were entering the draft?
Yeah, I wasn't that pleased at it, to be honest, because like you've got to look at it. I'd done it the year before. I'd been probably a bit quicker at the time than Bono, maybe. I don't know. There wasn't a lot in it, but anyway, Bono, Mr. Vegas, I suppose that's the reason he gets picked by McLaren. You know,
That's
they
your
want the sort
title.
of yeah. Well, I got to drive the Formula E. So did Bono, but we got to drive Formula E cars, and yeah, listen, he won the money, and I suppose I'd done a lot of the press and stuff leading up to it. That was awesome for me. And again, that whole thing changed my whole sim racing career, doing all the driving the Formula E car and all this stuff, and it's led to where I am now. But no, F1 Esports, it was Bono got picked up by McLaren before the draft happened, so
Yeah.
it was I don't know. You've got to think there's some smart guys like Dom just reach out to these teams and try and get their drivers picked before it actually happens, and it clearly worked. Him and Enzo got picked, and at the time I was kind of trying to get something. I think with Red Bull, but nothing was really happening, and yeah, I had to go down to the pro draft and sort of fight for my spot. Yeah, so it was pretty scary because again, F1's not like my go-to game, you know. So you've got all
Nah.
these guys that have done it for the past 5 years, blah blah blah. But yeah, it was good. It was there's a couple of these stories behind it all. Obviously with the Formula E thing, I know sort of Nelson Piquet slightly.
Yes. You were telling
So
me that last time you were on the podcast.
a couple of weeks leading up to the pro draft, I was kind of getting a bit worried that I wasn't going to be picked.
Yeah.
So I messaged Nelson on WhatsApp and I said to him, like, look, I know I'm kind of like clutching at straws here, but like, is there anything you can kind of do? Is there anyone you know in sort of Formula One that could maybe just give me a sort of a foot in the door, you know, and help me sort of get picked at this pro draft? So he comes back to me a day later with a few screenshots from Max Verstappen saying that he's going to put a good word in and blah blah blah. And it's one of these things. It's sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know it, you know. So and then funny enough, I managed to sort of get in the door that way. And if he tells you he's going to try and do whatever he can do, no matter what, on that night when Red Bull are about to pick someone, they might have changed their mind, you know. So I'm sitting on the stage with Verstappen picking everyone. I didn't know at that time that I was going to be picked, you know. So I'm still panicking, still sweating, like, oh, it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling, but obviously it all went well on the night, and yeah, a dream come true to be sort of part of a Formula One team like Red Bull and to sort of represent them for F1 Esports is yeah, something that you'd never think could happen, and especially like a few years ago when we last spoke on your podcast, you'd never believe that you'd join an F1 team to represent them for esports. So yeah, just unbelievable opportunity. And yeah, my F1 Esports never really went that well, to be honest. It was I don't know, as soon as I swapped from a Club Sport 2.0 to a CSL Elite that we'd use for the on the stage, I was just couldn't drive the thing, just in the pedals and the wheel. And so yeah, I'll make excuses, but really it's just down to me in the end. But yeah, fingers crossed they change it up a bit for this year. But yeah, it was a tough races. I think my very first race in Australia, I finished fourth. Everything started well, but yeah, it just kind of went a bit down.
had the penalty, didn't he? Dropped him down by like 5 spots.
Yep, yeah. And I think Joni was in front of me as well. So at Red Bull, we got like a 3-4 or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a bit as good as it got, unfortunately, for F1 Esports 2018. But it's made me take a massive sort of look at it, and yeah, if I get the chance again, I'll be there'll be no ifs or buts if we're going to do better. It has to happen, you know. So, but we'll see what happens.
I feel like you and Cem Bolukbasi have come off, probably you more, from all these big esports events for sim racing. I reckon you've come off with the most popularity, regardless of whether or not you've won these events. I don't know what it is, but I know the Visa Vegas eRace really took you off after winning when you won all the online qualifiers. You were invited to test the car, and then since then you've always been the talk of sim racing. Like, even if you might not be the quickest out there, which you know. You're obviously going to disagree with me. You probably think you're the quickest driver everywhere you go. But, like, I even remember during the esports draft, your name's being dropped every now and then. During the e-race of champions, which we'll talk about later, you know, people are talking about you even before you'd even set foot on track. I feel like you and Cem have this sort of... I talked about this with Seb, actually, when he was on my podcast last year. You're sort of in this little battle where you're going for who's the most popular sim racer in the world right now. And one of you two is going to win that title the next 6 months.
Unfortunately, I've not got thousands of Turkish people that follow me, so I'm never going to be as big as Cem on the social media platform, right? But nah, it's I think it's good to hear for someone like yourself that's got a massive overview of the whole sim racing scene. So to hear that from you is pretty cool. And I think another thing that sort of helps me is, like, I'm not honestly like I'm really not here just for myself. Like I want to see sim racing grow in Scotland and England, all over the world. Like I want to be part of sim racing's growth as well. You know, I don't want to just be
Yeah.
in. And honestly, like it's took me a long time to think that I'm not the best and the fastest driver at every track and every car and every game. But over the last 6 months to a year, I really have sort of looked at it in a completely different way. And yeah, you're never going to be, unless you're Frederik Rasmussen, you're never going to be the quickest every time.
Yeah. He's,
um, but
he's
no,
a freak of
honestly,
nature.
it's I know it's insane, but sometimes you need to understand that you're not going to be the quickest and fastest all the time to make you work that bit harder or just whatever, you know. But yeah, in no way of terms do I think I'm the quickest or fastest, but I definitely think I'm one of the quickest when I put my time in. But yeah, it's sim racing has grown so much in the last couple of years that it's no longer what was Vegas like probably maximum 1,500 people tried to qualify. You know, like look how many people was trying to do F1 Esports.
Yeah.
Me and Freddie last night went on just for banter. F1 2018 last night at like 12 at night. We done hot laps at Silverstone, and there was 15,000 people had tried to do a hot lap on the PC. You know, so it's like, see, a few years ago, like that would never have been the case. You know, so
Yeah.
it's only getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, I want to be part of this sim racing growing sort of worldwide, and yeah, as be as much and involved with it as possible, and see it grow. And yeah, it's been doing great the last while, so hopefully it continues.
And you're pretty positive about this all because you hate it when people on my side of work, like your commentators, your journalists, your pundits, whoever, are saying stuff like, "Oh, this sim sucks," and this is unrealistic, and this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They just try to put it down if it's not what they enjoy. Like if it's an R Factor person, if it's not R Factor, they're going to put it down. Same with iRacing, same with Assetto Corsa. But I think you're the guy where you're like, hey, if it's good for the sim racing scene, we should be supporting it.
Yep, yeah, definitely. And then you've got guys like Nelson and Lando and Max that say like, "Oh, this is very close," but you get some random punter that jumps in a sim. He's like, "Oh, this is awful." Like, you know, it's like you've got real Formula One drivers saying that this feels pretty good, and these other guys, I get that all the time. Like I'm
Mm.
always doing little events in Scotland, down in England as well, and so many people say, "Oh, this doesn't feel real," but it's because they're spinning and crashing into the wall every corner, you know. But
Exactly.
yeah, you get a lot of it. But no, sim racing and the whole scene at the minute, it's just going up and up, and yeah, hopefully we can make it almost as well like it's grown in the past 2 years. If you can almost do the same again in the next couple, you know, I think
Yeah.
they'd definitely going places. And so many real life drivers that I've sort of helped with sims or I used to race against or I've just known through racing, they are now trying to almost, oh, I can't get a drive in real racing. I'm looking to get involved in sim racing just like yourself, you know. And to see that is pretty awesome as well, you know.
Can we go back to Nelson Piquet because, well, not just him. You know what? Who are you talking to right now that I would know who's in relation to F1? Nelson Piquet, racing F1. Max Verstappen, you're good mates with, I think. Who
I
else
wouldn't
have you
say
been
good
chatting to?
mates with him. I wouldn't say like good mates with the guy, but like I say, I got to go to Monaco with Nelson, and they took me on a night out and hung out a bit. But I've done a few bits and bobs on iRacing with him and stuff, and I'd imagine maybe a few bits and bobs more this year. Yeah, so Nelson, a wee bit of Max, Lando. I speak to Lando a lot. Do a lot of sort of CS:GO, PUBG, all that kind of stuff with Lando. He's mad for that.
They're all Redline guys, aren't they? Max and Lando?
Max and Lando, yeah. I think
Yeah.
you do know that I'm not in Redline anymore.
Well, I'm confused. Like, that's what I want to ask you. Are you in the team? Because it's so confusing. Like, even with Bono's situation, is he a red line driver now? Is he not? I don't know what's going on with all these F1 Esports contracts. I'm assuming, obviously, you're not because you're signed to Red Bull now.
Well, yeah, it's something like that. Basically, I had to leave sort of red line to sort of do this whole Red Bull thing, you know, and yeah, in a way, oh, something's coming up on my camera. That's gone. Um, in a way, like it's hard to put it in a way, but like kind of almost making a living off of this now. We'll not go into too much detail about it, but at Redline, we were just doing this for fun again and getting the odd little day here that we maybe make some wages, but
Mm.
now I'm kind of doing this on a full time scale, and yeah, it was basically stay at Redline or get the chance to do something different that could lead to other things in the future, So it's I can't always worry. It was kind of like when I left Apex to join maybe Redline or something, I
Yeah.
hate it. I loved Alex Simpson. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I need to look after myself and worry about my sort of future. And I've committed so much time to sim racing. This is almost like what I plan on my career being for a long period now. If it's
Yeah.
building simulators, if it's coaching young kids in simulators, if it's winning esports championships, it's simulators, and that's how I'm going to approach it for a long time now. So I need to kind of worry about myself, and obviously I love Dom. I love all the guys at Redline, all your Enzos and Bonos and Landos and all the guys. They're giving them their due, right? It was the best team atmosphere I've ever been in. The banter and stuff was awesome. It really was, and the Sim Expo and stuff. Yeah, it was awesome. But sometimes you need to do what you need to do to move on to the next stage, And I'm sure, well, I know actually that a few of the guys would have done exactly what I had done to be where I am now. So it's not like I don't speak to the guys. We still hang out, still do some laps, and still play PUBG and CS together. So yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. But yeah, there's just so much confusion after F1 Esports, who was going
Exactly.
where, and it's I don't know about Bono and stuff. I don't know how they work things, but I'm just speaking for my case, and yeah, it was very confusing, and I get a lot of messages still asking about sort of what's happening with Redline and stuff. But yeah, that's the case, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is.
So, on that note, I was always picturing you after your sim racing career is done, or while you're sim racing to find an income source, you would have gone on your sort of Utse Kirchhoff route. He's your former teammate at Redline, actually, too, where he's sort of
Yeah,
into driver coaching now. He runs simulator training. I don't know if that has anything to do with Van Amersfoort Racing, if he does it for them or if he's a third party, but he's sort of associated with them. Taught Max Verstappen a few things in the sim when Max Verstappen was in F3. You should take that route because Seb and I were talking in the podcast how much you helped him out with Formula Ford last year. And
yep.
how that was, by the way, I'm disappointed in you. It was supposed to be a surprise, and apparently you ruined it for Seb a few days before by telling him.
Yeah.
But it's good. It should be a sort of a career path you do along with your racing. Because I know you're not someone who's going to spend 10 hours a day on a sim. You might spend 2 hours practicing Max. What else are you going to do in your day apart from bringing the ladies home at a future Monaco apartment?
Well, I do. I help a lot of kind of young Scottish kids in karts, coming up, sort of supplying them with simulators, coaching them on it, sort of racing from home against them on their sim. Do it with
Yeah.
some racing drivers as well down south. So I kind of do it, but I don't make it public. It's all kind of behind closed doors kind of thing.
Mm.
With
Which is
some
better
kids in
because
school.
I like that because you don't get random, like, no offense to him, but horrible sim races that you have to coach. Like, you only get the elite
Yeah.
and the talented who are, like,
I,
trying to make a career for themselves.
I started doing that, hosting sessions on iRacing and just doing it with anybody. And with Alex and stuff, they had like the Apex Academy. That was
Yeah.
it. I thought I forgot about that there. But and so we coached guys and helped them on. Don't get me wrong, at the time I loved it, but I've kind of just got a lot busier with what's sort of going on and what I'm doing at the minute. So
Mm.
it's more, yeah, a bit more just certain people at certain times. And some of the kids up in Scotland here are racing like the money they're spending at karts and stuff to go racing in Europe, and I go through and do like a day on the sim on a kart sim on R Factor. And sometimes they go away to Europe, never driven the circuit in their life, and they back with like a new world record at the track and stuff. And they're saying,
Mm.
well, I'd never have got that if we never done the sim like the full day before I went. And for me, I'm sitting at home when they tell me this. It's like it feels awesome to think that you actually were a part of helping them win their race or getting a lap record or whatever they do that's good. But yeah, so it is. I love doing all these kind of stuff. I used to sort of take simulators up to. We've got like a local Ferrari, Bentley, Porsche, Lamborghini garage. They do nights, and I used to take my sim up there and put like whatever car garage I'm in on the sim and let customers drive around and
Yeah.
yeah, all different type of stuff. So it's always keeping busy, mate. Always keeping busy. That's the thing.
Exactly. You're that
Always.
exclusive private coach who knows Max Verstappen and Nelson Piquet, two good guys. By the way, is this a true story? Actually, it's a true story, but there's an element to it I want to confirm. Did you seriously miss a race 2 years ago because you were playing FIFA and eating pizza with Max in his apartment or something? Is that a true story or not?
Miss a race?
Miss a world championship race for iRacing. I swear you missed a
Nah,
race because you were in Monaco.
because I looked the other day, and when I was at Piquet's place was last a year. It was last June, last July. So I wasn't doing WCS last year, was
Maybe it
I?
was the
I
year
didn't do the.
before.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a year ago. I was over there, so I've never been to Piquet's house twice. So I've only been over there once. So nah, it's probably just someone talking away. But I maybe missed some race or some event that I was doing when I was over in Monaco. But I think most people would rather be doing what I was doing at that time than doing an online race.
Then race for 10K for the championship winner when in one day Bono won 20 times that amount.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Bono doesn't. Me and Bono do IndyCar oval fixed, unlike just at like 1 in the morning, just for banter because
Yeah.
Bono doesn't even really do any more. Well, he does do bits and bobs of sim racing, but I'd be the same if I won 250K. I don't need to really. All the other sim racers, I've got a good few years to catch up on him yet, so he can just take a back seat and go on plenty of holidays, I think.
And you know what I love you just said? Indy Fixed is probably like the best series in iRacing that you can still have fun with, but not have to take too seriously. You don't have to worry about setting up the car. It's
Yep.
ovals, takes minimal driving. You can race until 3 a.m. and do 7 races in a row. It's like the best series ever. It's just when I do it, the community is always like, no offense to the community. When I say that, I'm going to offend them. But you can't be you can't be slagging off every new driver that comes through doing well. I had people sort of saying they were going to report me for like overtaking them around the outside and shit. Just idiots. I don't know what was going on, but it
We
is.
get to
I don't
all
know.
the
I love that series. Like you and Bono can just talk shit for 3 hours and race. Not have to worry about sweating your ass off.
We even had one with Lando maybe a week or two ago, and honestly, like the full rig, 70 laps, and on the last lap, like come out the last corner, like he almost got me kind of thing. But that's what I mean, like the actual, because you can have banter all the way through and not care about it, and then it's always going to be close, or there's always going to be a wreck. So there's always a bit of fun in it, and it's kind of good just to sort of not constantly lap to try and be the best. Sometimes it's good just to have a bit of fun with friends. I think everyone knows that saying quite well. So
Yeah.
it's yep, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's we normally what is it Monday night ovals like the first race of the week's normally the big one we found out. So we normally get involved in that one, and yeah, everyone's always on the mic saying, "Look at these two road racers coming in here," and
I hate it.
always good crack.
See that they get all cocky and they be like, who are these guys? Like they're not part of the community, and they all like threaten you. They start tailgating you. I remember I got told off for after one of the pace cars. I took off in the lead, and I got told off for taking off like I didn't do it fast enough. I'm like, dude, did the sim give me a penalty or not? Like, I don't understand what these people are talking about sometimes. So I guess in the end, the only thing that doesn't appeal me when it comes to that kind of stuff is how iRacing still publicizes your stats. Because I don't like. I know this sounds pretty self-conscious. I don't try to mean it that way, but I don't want people knowing that I raced, 10 races in a row in one night to have no life, and and I finished like last in all of them because I didn't practice. Like I want that stuff to be hidden. That's like probably 90% of the reason why I don't race in iRacing these days is the public stats page.
We were trying to get Freddie on to do a race with us in Oval. I don't know who I was racing with at the time, maybe Bono or Lando, whatever. But like, come on, Freddie, come on. And he says, nope. He says, I've got 12 wins, 12 poles and 12 wins. I am not ruining my profile page for an Oval race. I
Oh
thought that was
man,
pretty good.
that's silly. That's coming from one of the best sim racers in the world as well. That's just
Ever
stupid.
that'll ever exist. The guy is the guy's on a different level. Honestly, it's I've been a teammates with quite a few different guys. Obviously, a Red Line and Apex and all
Yeah.
different guys. And to be honest, all of them at the minute, all my current teammates that maybe I shouldn't say exactly who they are, but like your Freddie and even like Patrick and stuff. Just the time they put into it sometimes isn't as much as others, but the consistency and just it's just every time, Sometimes I think going out on a new track and a new track is my thing. Like, oh, I can pick up the lap time quite quickly, and then you look over at Freddie, you're like, for God's sake, man. give me a rest. But
See, he doesn't
but not
need
give
to
him.
care about his reputation because if he
No,
has a bad
doesn't.
stats page, everyone knows who Freddie Rasmussen is. It's guys like me who go, "Oh, I have a bad stats page. There's nothing else to back it up. What world championships do I have? What wins do I have? You guys have the contracts with the F1 teams and the rest of, and all this and the other. You know, it's easier."
Yeah, I don't think Freddie really gives a flying F what anyone else thinks of him. But I think that's sometimes the best way to look at it, you know? Just focus on what you're doing yourself, not worry
Yeah,
about what others are saying and doing or trying to bring up or whatever, and
exactly.
concentrate on what you're doing. And yeah, I'm sure his results show that anyway.
So your Red Bull team, you have yourself, Joni Törmälä, and so can I confirm? I don't want to get this wrong. The whole Red Bull family works together in Codemasters F1.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Toro
Well,
Rosso as well.
again, well, maybe we weren't meant to say it at the time, but yeah, we sort of. But then again, there was like Sauber and other teams working together, and there was like Force India and Mercedes and stuff. So just because like Red Bull and Toro Rosso done a few hosted sessions together, I think some people take it a wee bit out of proportion in what we're actually doing, you know. But yeah,
Mm.
myself, Yoni, Red Bull, and then obviously Jem, Freddie, and Patrick for Toro Rosso. And again, I think it's just under sort of one bracket. It's sort of like a Red Bull family kind of thing. And yeah, pretty cool to work alongside all these guys. They've all done well in sim racing at some point and some titles. So for a sort of lineup, it's I remember hearing Ollie Pakala getting asked who's he kind of worst not looking forward to face at F1 Esports, and he told he was sort of saying it's sort of Red Bull Toro Rosso because I think we do with the five of us. It's quite a strong lineup,
Yeah.
not just for F1 Esports, but if you were to look at sort of other games as well, it's yeah, pretty good anyway. So it's we've all got a good way of working things, and we can all work together and add all our thoughts together and come up with something pretty unique, you know. So it's I think it's only going to get better and well. The more we work together, the better we get on, and yeah, all things like that, you know.
So there's you, and we know how talented you are. There's Joni Törmälä, who's one of 15 drivers in the world who's won an iRacing F1 World Championship race. There's Patrik Holzmann, the greatest qualifier / hot lapper in the world, one of the quickest guys out there. There's Cem Bolukbasi, who's rising talent, still young, Turkish superstar. You're right, you got a deadly team. Who I forgot, by the way, I forgot someone. Oh God, who did I forget?
Ready?
Freddie. And you got Freddie
Ready?
Rasmussen,
Yeah.
who's
And
one of the greatest sim racers in the world right now. Top 3, top 5, even. Maybe that's even selling him. Maybe that's underrating him if I say that.
I think honestly, hand on heart, and I know other people that I know that are pretty up there as well with stuff like this agree with this. Freddie, I'd say, has got your top sim racer of the world over like your Brendan and your Cronky, I think. Freddie will go into any sim and challenge for the win. Not just iRacing, not just F1, not just R Factor. Freddie will go into any platform and be like that front running guy. Where Cronky, I don't even like hardly even class Cronky as a sim racer these days. I don't know why, but he's just so in his own little box and his own little shell that never comes out. And I don't know. Give him his due. He's good at what he does, but like as a sim racer, I hardly even class him as one. And Brendan, like he's a one horse pony, you know. Like I drove a sim at Silverstone and jumped on after him and was like 2 seconds a lap quicker than when I set it, you know. So I think if you take him away from F1, it could be different. Maybe not. It's just my point. But you take Freddie onto any of these platforms, and just in my opinion, I think he's the best all-rounded sim racer in the world at the minute. And I know there's others that have got the same thought, but it's hard to be quick on. You can be quick on every game, but to be the best on every game in all of them is a hard thing to do, you know. But yeah, he definitely picks them up very quickly, you know. And it's good. It's good to have someone like that in the working with you as well, you know, because whatever they can do, they've got a sort of benchmark, and it's good to push yourself to sort of
Exactly.
their limits as well, you know. So that was always like my thing of joining Redline. All the guys can help me improve, and they did, you know. It's always good to chase after someone that's quicker, and it's the same with Freddie, you know. He's one of the best at the minute, so you just got to try and do what he's doing and be up there with him, you know. That's the way to do it.
That's one thing people forget in sim racing is you need to have teammates who are a higher benchmark than you. So I think
Yep.
people will feel like, oh, but what about Martin Kroenke, who's one of the quickest in the world, who you just said wasn't a sim racer, but it, he's a guy who is the quickest on his team, and has won 2 world championships. So then he needs to have the self motivation to keep pushing for pace, which he does. But then you have other people who, if they're the quickest in their team, they don't really know how to improve, and those are the inexperienced guys. But like I remember when I jumped in, when I was in, I raced for PSR for one season, and I was the quickest on the team that year, and I sort of felt like I hit a plateau. I couldn't get any better than this. And there were no teammates feeding me, great setup advice, that kind of stuff. Everyone was sort of demotivated. They weren't as quick. And then as soon as I went to Go Speed the next season, I was, getting pole positions, close to wins, that kind of stuff in the World Championship. And I was like, wow, this is one season. Imagine if I did this for 5-6 more years and kept going into better teams. And you've done that. You've been on Apex, Redline, you've experienced Frederik Rasmussen. Like, I've just realized you've been in now teams with Bono Huis, one of the greatest sim racers of all time, and his career, I think he's still in his prime. It's not even close to being over.
One of the best FIFA players as well. You'd want to hear that. You'd want to hear that as well, so add that in as well.
I've heard that, and I've heard he's good at CSGO, but I don't want to blow his horn too much because I know he'll never stop talking about it. So there's that guy. There's Frederik Rasmussen. You've been in the same team as Artsy Kirchhoff. Gregor Hutu, the GOAT, I still think is the greatest sim racer of all time. The Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Maybe the Juan Manuel Fangio, because sim racing sort of new and Fangio came in when F1 was, in its beginnings.
But, yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
But I just noticed it. You've been in, pretty much the only guy left is, I think you need to join Coanda SimSport. Go and experience who the non-sim racer Kroenke is and tell me what you can come back with.
Nah, listen, I don't mean it in a bad way. That I just feel that all us sim racers are out there trying to promote, like what I've said, to try and be a part of sim racing and make it grow. And like, apart from turning up on a WCS Saturday at 1 o'clock, where else is the guy? Like that's the only thing. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about the guy. And like I say, what he does on track, I remember I said to him once at the expo, like, just what you're doing at the minute is just insane. So congratulations. And he's awesome at that point of view. But I'm just talking of the whole
promotion,
pushing the whole thing for everyone, and that's just my kind of downfall on him. But no, listen, I remember when I joined Redline, the reason I joined Redline was because I got asked to join Coanda. So I messaged Atsi and I said, Atsi, am I going to join Coanda or am I going to join Redline? And then I joined Redline.
Wow.
Because he said I remember once, he says, I remember I was speaking to Atsi, when I first started sim racing, all I heard was Atsi. So I thought, you know what? Like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing here. I'm so new to sim racing. I'm just going to send this guy a message and ask for a couple of tips, see what happens, or ask him to coach me for a couple of hours and I'll pay him. And he did. And he said to me, he says, what to do is if you win the Pro Series, we'll sign you to Redline. And the guy never, he'd never done it. So, and then I said to him, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go and join Coanda and beat you all? Or do you want me to join you guys? And joined Redline. So it was, I think I was like finishing like top 3 almost constant at this point from Apex. And if I joined Coanda, I was only going to go one way, So, and I remember as well, joined Redline in the first round with Silverstone. I think I finished second.
You improved. I remember that.
Yeah.
You had this dramatic improvement, like you unlocked a setup secret that you never had with Apex for 2 years.
Well, it was. It was 90% setup, and then others a bit of confidence. You can go out there and like drive 80%, and you're still like in the top 3. Where the iRacing's like that, man. It's the way I look at it. The way I know everyone might look at this differently, but I look at it as, and obviously you have to drive the car and you have to get to the car to the finish and avoid crashes, avoid all this stuff. But I still look at iRacing as like a lot of it is to do with the setup. If you've got the best setup, you're going to be the quickest, more or less. All the drivers are kind of within 1% or 2 different. So if you've got the best setup, that I think Gregor in that old Williams car did. Now, I'm not being biased between anyone, but I think Gregor probably had the setup of dreams for that car. And I think now Kroenke has got the setup for the new car. It's
but
It's
the thing
close
is,
at points, but
that's part of racing though, because to me it
yeah,
was
no,
like
definitely.
my advantage when I race was I was smart with the setup because I was never naturally quick. I was like a trained product when it came to driving. I never felt I was naturally good at, controlling the car. So when I had all this setup advantage on people, I would, I had pole positions and stuff like that. And I was like, great, this is my advantage. When I'm in equal setup cars, I can't tune the car to my driving style. And you're someone who needs a car, by the way, to suit your driving style because you throw it around like a Formula Ford.
Yep, yeah.
No, nothing to say on that.
Oh no, just you kind of you went jumping for yeah. No, sometimes it really helps me in sim racing, but for instance, like the Porsche at the minute, me trying to drive how I'd normally drive, just a waste of time. Even starting up the PC, like
Yeah, exactly.
if I
Yeah, I
if I
agree with you.
drive how I want to drive, like the Porsche is just so. One way I describe it is when Seb came to Silverstone for his first day in Formula Ford, I was watching him at the Brooklands last couple of corners on the national track anyway, at Luffield, the Brooklands complex, last left, right. And I'm
Yeah.
watching him and I'm saying, like, I was saying to myself, like, what is he doing? Like, he's driving like he's driving an iRacing. Like,
Yeah, he told
you,
me that. Yeah.
yep, just so, like, couple of millimeter inputs, just tiny wee inputs. And I'm like, man, like, let's watch one of my videos when I won here. And, like, I'm wrestling with the wheel, chucking it about him. Honestly, from the first day to when I went and watched him at the Walter Hayes, like within the amount of driving that he's done in real life, that is still very little, really, when you think of some guys that have raced all their life. The guy's control for oversteering that Formula Ford was insane. Honestly, it was his first weekend racing in the car. He was 1 or 2 tenths off the last year's championship winner. And that
Mm.
guy was racing when I won in 2015.
Yeah.
So the guy's never stopped. Seb jumps in, boom, straight on the pace. And it's so yeah, it was quite funny to watch him grow over the year, and even as a person, when I first met him there with his mum and dad, he was very quiet, and by the end of the year, he was having a laugh and so much more confident. He'd leave the garage and stuff in his car, and like wheel spin out the garage. Where at the start of the year, he just like almost stall out every time.
What he's a driver who I think confidence is one of his biggest issues and probably focus. Because remember, he's one of those guys that suffers with consistency issues in sim racing.
But I
And
think that's as well. A lot of people don't really look into this as well, mate. Like Seb's PC has never ran without like screen freezing and stutters for like over a year, probably, or like months.
oh, I didn't
So
know that.
a massive part of that, you give Seb all the equipment, he'll do the damage. Like the guy's an awesome sim racer and real life driver. But I think, and I know as well. Don't get me wrong. I agree that he does make a few mistakes and catches a bit of grass here and there. Everyone has their moments, but I think a lot of it would be solved with like a bad boy PC, that doesn't stutter. And I think other people that get these reputations as well have some problems like that. It's people are just very quick to judge in the old online industry that people are doing this and people are doing that without actually knowing deep down. But I know for a fact that Seb goes on all the time about his PC stuttering and all this, and he makes it to Germany in the Porsche race thing to go to
Yeah.
Leipzig or whatever it's called, and my PC is fine, and I didn't even make it. So it makes me feel awesome.
All I know now is that the next time I buy a brand new PC, I'm going to call it a bad boy PC. I've never heard someone call it
Yeah.
that.
Bad boy, like an absolute really, really good one,
Like a
like even
badass.
my one. Yeah, my one, it looks, I don't know if you can see it here, a big square one, but it's not amazing, but it does. It does. But yeah, a few technical issues for Seb, I know for that for a fact. So
Yeah.
hopefully people start giving him less of a giving him more of a break, sorry. So we'll see.
All right. We'll talk about Seb and some Formula Ford things I'll bring up. Can you talk us through your behind the scenes, what's going on? You've got two setups. Why do you have two setups?
Behind me, you mean?
Yeah, like you've already got one wheel set up, like a whole cockpit. Why do you have a second cockpit next to it? What's the second cockpit?
Just yeah. So basically, when we went to do F1 Esports, there's no point in me driving like at the minute I'm testing the new Fanatic direct drive.
Yeah.
Um, so I've got one of them, and I've got like a set of Housingfeld pedals that I'd use for iRacing. And then if I ever race or drive F1 2018, there was never any point in me using that rig because it was always going to be this play seat with CSL stuff when we went to the final
Ah,
and
yeah, yeah.
in London for. So basically. Red Bull sent us a sort of full setup to practice at home with, you know. So when we're at home, we could use this rig for F1, and when we were down at the factory, they had other rigs there for us to use, you know. So we were always driving what we'd use in the final, and yeah, didn't really help me much, to be honest. I'm just so used to like my dream thing is like a direct drive with big heavy pedals. I've got so used to it now. Jumping in there last year with like the worst Fanatic pedal you could get, or the lightest one, you know, like you couldn't put any pressure on it at all without locking up, and then the wheel was just this thing that swung about in front of you on this little. Yeah, I'm sort of giving it a move about now, but everything moves, you know, and it's just again, everyone, it was the same for everyone, but yeah, it's just not my cup of tea at all. So I was told that it's going to be changed for this year, and hopefully maybe something like this direct drive from Fanatic could be used for F1 2019. So praying for that to happen, that would be really, really good. I tried the new direct drive wheel last night on F1 2018, and it felt really, really nice actually. So
yeah. People are loving
fingers
these direct
crossed.
drive wheels these days. Like, they make so much of a difference. I think I need to get my hands on one.
Yeah, and you can put any wheel on it as well. I've got a Formula E wheel here, and so you can stick it on. You can stick it on a direct drive wheel, you know, and you're driving like an actual Formula E steering wheel that's out of a real life car, you know, and it's just a little fancy extra, but it's still cool to have, you know. It's yeah, you know what it's like once you see someone with a new wheel or a new set of pedals, you want them as well, don't you? So
Oh
it's
yeah. Oh, I'm getting jealous right now. I feel like, because you've got two, and if you look behind me, all I have is my enormous logo and my shoe rack. Which, by the way, you said, are you a sneaker collector? You said, or did I get that wrong?
yeah, no, I am. I love my shoes actually. So yeah, I've got it's because actually this isn't where normally my Red Bull rig sits. I actually normally have it across the other side of the room, but I thought I'd spice it up a bit for today. So normally my trainers and stuff are behind me, but they're just in like a big massive bundle at the side at the minute. So, but yeah, I've sort of got like, you know, 20 or 30 pairs in here at the minute. But
Mm.
it's yeah, a bit like yourself, mate. Sneaker daft, sneaker, that's an American term, but yep.
Yeah. What do you call them in Scotland?
Just trainers, trainers.
Trainers. Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
like
trainers.
it sounds like a tool you download for R Factor 2. I
Trainers.
just call them
Um,
in Australia we call them runners, but that to me is like, I don't really run in them. So sneakers sounds more cool.
yep.
You know, it sounds like you're buying swaggy shoes.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's yeah, trainers, shoes. It's about it
All the
really.
same shit. So have you guys been to the factory? Because I've seen you you've seen the trophies at the Red Bull factory, which were stolen or returned. I don't know what's happened to those.
Yeah, we heard a thing. Yeah, we did. We've been to the factory a few times now. And yeah, someone broke in, or there was a story behind like an ex. Anyway, someone broke in, and then after they stole all the trophies, they obviously took them away and realized that these trophies are just sort of like aluminium-y, plasticky, sort of not worth a lot of money. Obviously, some of them might be, but
Yeah.
so anyway, they just chucked them all in a lake nearby. And yeah, so Red Bull, someone found them, whatever, and then they've got new trophies or refurbished or whatever, so they're all back in the
Mm.
collection. But yeah, it's you walk into the place and it's just there's obviously a car. You walk in the door, there's a car on your right, kind of thing as you go in. So that's crazy enough to see that, and then all the trophies, and then yeah, it's an incredible place, and they've got a new place called MK7, where all their past cars have been, you know, and it's our simulators are just to the right hand side of all these past cars, you know, and we're going down a straight, going down Spa Straight or something. You take a look to your left or right, and you're looking at like what 15 F1 cars, you know, and it's just like, and again, it really does make you almost like make you almost proud as well to like say like you know what I've actually got here, you know, like I'm actually
Yeah.
training to do sim racing at Red Bull Formula One's factory, and like I say, like I've always been involved in racing, and you've always yeah, it's a bit of sim racing, a bit of that, but like sometimes when I'm in that Red Bull factory, like I can hardly even speak. I'm just like
Mm.
gobsmacked, you know. I just can't believe it, you know. So yeah, it's incredible. It really is. We've done the whole sort of another thing that impressed me at the factory was like old back wings, old front wings. They're hanging on a wall, and like there's just so many of them. Cars and you know the cocoon things, like a bubble for a car. And it
Yeah.
keeps it sort of with no dust and stuff. And then there's just shelves and shelves and shelves and Vettel's championship winning car and Coulthard's car and
I love this. Oh,
oh man, it was insane, you know. And again to be getting sort of a tour with Jem and Freddie and Joni and Patrick, and it's cool because I know we know all each other, you know. So it's not like we're doing it with random people, and it's cool to experience together. And yeah, just honestly, what a place it is. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back down there soon. Hopefully, who
that
knows?
that
Who
was
knows?
that was similar to my plan for the podcast because behind me I've only got the logo and the trainer. What did you call it? The trainer collection, the
Yeah,
sticker collection.
yeah.
But like I was planning to have pretty much like just memorabilia everywhere. So photos of like some great F1 moments I remember. Hey, how about a random front wing that cost $20,000 over to the side of the floor? Obviously, I don't have the money for that. I know how they turn. Have you seen how they turn wheel rims into tables?
Yep,
So
yeah.
that's one thing I wanted. Like, I just wanted to dress up the room like that. But I think also what I had to consider was number one, money, which we can always live with. But I think it was copyrights. I don't know if I would have, lost
Right,
anything when it
okay.
came to rights and whether or not I could display these commercially. But I don't want to discuss that, obviously, publicly. Um, what was I going to talk about? The Red Bull factory. Have you been in the sim? Like the actual Red
No,
Bull, the big simulator, the big one. You know what I'm talking about?
no, nothing. We've had talks and stuff about stuff, but yeah, we'll just see what happens. Again, like it'd be awesome to have a shot and it'd be cool and blah blah blah. But yeah, um, just to be part of this whole operation, F1 Esports representing them and stuff was just insane, you know. So if we got a shot of a sim, you know, that'd be awesome. But the only problem we'd have is getting me back out of the sim. You know, they'd probably have to take like five guys to rip me out of it. But yeah, again, it's just one of these things. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, still loving every minute of it, you know.
That's why I feel like in the pro draft when they had the karting challenge, I felt like you're perfectly built for racing. Like you're thin and you're strong and everything, but you're not overweight. But you're 6'4". Like you wouldn't suit
Yeah,
karting or a sim. Like that's the problem.
yep, yeah. It's the carts were pretty tight anyway. But it's always the same in carts. I always get like a big lump on my back as well because I've basically I'm not got much body fat on me, so I've always got like big golf balls on my back coming from the seats and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's like and as well like Formula Four, the car I drove and stuff. Yeah, it was a bit bigger cars than all the other makes on the grid, so I was kind of lucky. In 2008, when I won the British and Scottish Championship, I got a test in Valencia in Spain, the
Mm.
MotoGP track, and I got to go over there and test Formula Renault, and I basically didn't fit in the car, you know. So I still drove for the day because I wasn't not driving, but like I couldn't have. If someone says there's 250K to go and race next year, like I couldn't have went and raced Formula Renault because I just didn't fit, you know. So I would have
Yeah.
had to go down the GT route or something, but yeah, the Sims and stuff, you can always. I don't know about like F1 Sims. I've never been in one, but most Sims you can normally cater to like 6'4", 6'5", no problem anyway. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Like that's what
I'm
I
not
always have
not too sure
felt.
about the play seat one was very tough though. So their last race for F1 Esports was a 50% race at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Oh, my back when I finished the thing. Oh, it was tough, but again, we're on a stage as well. So once you sort of get a bit of adrenaline going for the race, and you're in front of all these people, it was you sort of forgot about it, but you soon remembered when the race finished. Anyway,
Now, I've had that because I'm 6'1", so even for me, like I'm tall for racing. You know what I mean? Like I would just be at the
yeah,
brink of being like on the limit. If anything, I'm closer to 6'2" than I am to 6'1". So like I know how you feel in terms of not fitting into things. When I jump into like a simple, even if you go back to the most basic of basics, like a rental cart place, whatever you call them, rental cart track. Like I don't even fit in those carts. My knees are bent. I
yeah,
can't drive in. It's ridiculous. So like, and even
yeah.
in a sim, and even if you drive into a normal road car or jump into one, I'm driving with like I just pulled my mouth away from the mic. I'm driving like this. I'm gonna show it to everybody. You're like, driving, I don't understand. Like, I can't put my hands above the wheel, and I don't know who drives with two hands these days, by the way. But I, drive like this with one hand. It's impossible when you're tall. Like driving is not designed for guys like us who are above 6 foot.
I don't think people realize how small your Alonsos are, your sort of your
Masses.
F1 drivers are until you actually see them in person. The cameras on TV don't do them any justice, but
Yeah.
you see them in real life and they're tiny, and it's like, suppose, well, Lando is what, under 20-year-old, he's pretty small as well, but even your up and coming guys, they're still tiny wee guys, and yeah, I knew that from a very young age. That first of all, I never had any money to do the big expensive stuff, and second of all, I was miles too tall, and my dad's even taller than me, so I don't think I'm finished growing yet either. So, but yeah, listen, if some F1 team or someone wanted you that had a lot of money in your car, it's sometimes not how big you are, it's how big your wallet is. They'll make you fit if you've got enough money. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
But
And that's
anyway,
like
we're
with when you watch the NBA on TV, like the basketball, and when you compare it to F1, you're right. TV doesn't do it justice, and the cameras don't. Those guys
Yep.
are the smallest guys on an NBA court are our height, like 6'1" to
Yeah.
6'3", but they look so tall in real life. We look tall as well whenever we go places. The tallest guys in the NBA are 7 foot, but they look like they might be 6'4" on TV, but they're not. They're huge.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's it. It's doesn't do them any justice, mate. That's it.
So going back to we didn't talk about it yet. Oh, you helped Seb out in Formula Ford. That's what we supposed to speak about. Can I bring up the race from Knockhill with the crazy? Do you remember this? The safety car incident or something, where the safety car came out in front of the pack. What happened there? It was like mental.
So yeah, so there's obviously been a crash somewhere. I can't remember exactly what corner. So they've deployed the safety car, and the safety cars came up. Where it came out? I think there's like on the pit, and they were doing the reverse direction. So normally everything's quite worked out, planned well how it's going to go. But the safety car basically went onto the start and finish line, and Knockhill's got a crest in the straight. So
Yeah.
if you're coming up from the hairpin the right way around, you can't see the first corner. If you're coming the reverse way out of the last first corner, technically, you won't be able to see the hairpin. But this safety car was over the crest, so you've got, I think it was lap one, lap two, and all long race anyway. Formula Fours are joint nose to tail, so you've got 10 guys coming up to this crest and a safety car across the other side of it, and it
Yeah.
was like there was yellow flags, there was everything going on, and you could almost just see the safety car. But yeah, people have came over the hill, and I was on the pit wall. I thought people were going to come over the pit wall kind of thing, and there was guys just avoiding the safety car, and like honestly, it was one of the craziest thing I've ever seen from like a it was the British the BRSCC, like a proper run championship in the UK, and it was a shambles. And yeah, for Seb to be in there as well, it's probably woke him up a bit as well, where he could have quite easily ran into the back of that car, and you just never know what could happen with these kind of things. Scary to think, but yeah, no, it was that bad. Formula Ford isn't racing at Knockhill this year. It's been taken off the British calendar, so it's yeah, it wasn't a good weekend to be involved in it anyway. It's pretty crazy.
And that's when I first noticed that you were helping Sebastian, because they showed footage of his, I think it was his cockpit camera, his helmet cam, and he was
Right, yeah.
sitting in during the red flag. And I saw a guy, and I'm like, is that Graham? And then you started speaking in your Scottish accent. I'm like, that's Graham Carroll right there in the Scottish accent. And I was like, oh, what's this? I didn't know you were helping him out. And then and you guys have gotten a lot closer from that, because you were teammates at Apex. But you mentoring him in the Formula Ford and teaching him not to drive it like, smoothly like you would in a sim. If anything, the best sim would probably, to test Formula Ford, I might be wrong with this, but could be one sim called Netcar Pro. That really simulated the Formula Ford really well. I'm going back 10 years ago or something here, Graham. I don't know if you know what I'm speaking about, but
I've heard of it. Yeah.
simulates it very well. Yeah. Try it out if anyone. I don't even know if the game exists still. But hey, moral of the story is you've guided him. Hopefully, is he driving this year in 2019? Has he found a budget?
I don't know. I don't know if it's for me to say or whatever as well, but it's hard, you know. Like he obviously got a year free to do Formula Ford. Never driven any sort of. I'm not sure if he's even got a road license. Like, does he even drive on the road or anything? I don't think he does.
Mm.
So anyway, comes into sort of Formula Ford, never driven in his life, and then when I raced up into 2008 when I was 18. I won the British, and that was always just like me and my dad with like a van and a trailer. And like you turned up against like 5 car teams, a big truck and all this, big trucks, and we were just there like a little awning and a van and trailer, you know. And we won the British Championship, won 5 championships in one year.
Yeah.
So anyway, in 2015, I was sort of friends with a guy, and he started up a big team, and I won the Walter Hayes Trophy, for this guy.
Mm.
So basically, when this guy got approached to run a sort of season for a sim racer, and then I found out it was going to be Seb. He says, "Look, let's do something. You know the guy. It'll be good to sort of get him out of his shell as well, because a young guy coming into a team full of sort of older guys, it's hard to sort of get him to sort of really let go and just enjoy himself. He was a bit shy and all this kind of stuff, you know. So me helping him there, and it really sort of brung him on and out of his shell, and the banter we had, and we got really close. And yeah, no, it was some of the times just I'm even having a little spin or a shunt, you know, like it was just it made him better for the rest of the day because he could just get on with what he was doing rather than sort of worrying about being nervous or whatever, you know. So
Mm.
um but the best thing I've seen that every sim race I would think of was the first time he hit the wall. Like I bet he was just looking for the escape button, you know, like and
That's what I
that
would do.
was probably when he hit the wall the first time. It was the start and finish line at the national circuit of Silverstone. So
Mhm.
out the last corner, out of Luffield, you got the wood cut, the wee kink, and it was wet, so he's lost it. Um, when you're a sim racer and you've crashed into a wall, the first time you do it for real life, it'll wake you, it'll give you a fright, you know, like it really will. And then when you come back into the garage, you maybe even don't want to go back out, you know, because it gave you a fright, and it's not just like a sim racing crash that nothing happens
Mhm.
to you. You know, you can get a good, you can hurt your fingers, your hands, your wrists, whatever. But yeah. So I remember that, and then the times he was going out after was like very cautious, you know, and we're kind of like, oh, this isn't going to go well, whatever. Anyway, put that behind them, and yeah, some of his performances at so like Oulton Park, for instance, you know, like it's a tough track in real life, and yeah, just picks it up one test day and away he goes. You know, it's really impressed me, Seb. Really impressed me, and how he sort of grew as a person throughout the year was really cool and good to be a part of as well. To be honest,
So impressed with him that he beat you in the eRace of Champions final.
did he? I don't know.
It was, by
No.
the way, it was the longest starting lights I'd ever seen in the history of motorsport when you got that false start.
They must have conned me somewhere, but it was Do you know there was like point 0.5 of a second in the start of that? You know, they think they've made the fairest sim racing competition and all this kind of stuff. There was almost like point 0.4, point 0.5. If you could make the car leave the spot before the lights went out and you could still get away with it. So Seb was doing it perfect every time. So if I was going to win that competition, I had to risk it. You know? It was but it was awesome to go up against Seb. Like even at the start of our first 3 races against each other, I've never felt this way, but it must be because I'm getting a bit older and I've sort of helped Seb as well. But I actually was, listen, I would have loved to win there myself. Don't get me wrong. If I could have won it, I would have won it. But I would want nobody bar Seb to go there instead of myself. You know,
Yeah.
when I lost, I was still so pleased for the guy. As soon as I stalled, I just phoned him. I was just like screaming down the phone. I was like, "Go on!" You know, it's really good to see him win it. Obviously, it's a bit disappointing, but yeah, it's what it is. You know, it was he deserved every minute of it, and he was the quickest of the night. But it was good fun though. Good fun racing against Seb.
The thing is, because I've been in the driver's seat like you know, in these high pressure situations, I sort of understand how annoyed you get in the spotlight and in the heat of the moment. Because did you quit the server straight away as soon as it happened? Because that's exactly what any passionate sim racer would have done as well.
Nah, well, what happened was it just kind of we're both sitting on the ground, revving, on the limiter kind of thing, and then as soon
Revving for
as
2 minutes, by the way, because it was the longest starting lights I've
yeah,
ever seen in my life.
exactly. So well, it maybe looks like we're sitting there for a while, but we only get the lights for I don't know maximum of 15s. the lights come up with no lights on, and there's about 15 seconds, and then it's, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds before they start, whatever it is, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as the lights went out, it was I was sort of in communication with Seb in my ear, talking to him. So I said to him, "Look, Seb, I've just stalled it. Bring it home. You've won it. Congratulations." And as soon as he sort of finished his lap, yeah, I was on the phone to him, phoning him, sort of congratulating him, and I could hear his mum and dad in the background, and yeah, it was a good moment, you know. It was I might have lost, but I'm still happy for the guy. You know, he done well. And to be honest, the whole competition, right? I'll tell you, it's a bit of a laugh because I got on with the guy as well. But one of the only reasons I was there that night, that at the time nobody knew, but Brendan Lee was in the last qualifying spot.
Yeah.
So we had a little conversation between a few people. I'm not mentioning any names.
Yeah.
And basically, if you go on there, Graham, and you put in a time, you'll knock Brendan out. And I'm like, oh, like I'll go and give it a go, you know. And like 15 minutes later, I'd knocked him out. I'm thinking, Jesus, I'm in the final, like whenever this is, in a week or whatever. And it was so the only reason I done it, and I done the first event, and I only done a half an hour, an hour's practice. Like I was
Yeah.
hardly even taking it serious. And then the second event, I only done it to knock Brendan out. So when I was there racing Seb, like I was only there for that pure reason of putting Brendan out, and he got a wild card to go anyway, you know. But it was funny how it all played out to do it for just a bit of a laugh, to actually make the finals night, and then to get all the way to the final, you know, because there were some quick guys on the night that had obviously put in thousands and thousands of laps, and yeah, I'd probably put in about 50. So
And it was Assetto Corsa. Have you raced on Assetto Corsa much?
No, not at all, to be honest. I've driven it with like Enzo and stuff, Enzo and Bono and Dom and Lando and stuff at Redline just for fun, like in the Ferrari cars and stuff, the F1 cars, and purely just for fun, but nothing really serious on Assetto. So it was kind of new, and yeah, there was like I say, there was a few guys that were really putting a lot of time, and yeah, it was again, it came down to just sort of the pressure of the night. You know, if you got that start right, and yeah, I raced Jem on the night, didn't I? Me and Jem went head to head. That was fun. Jem won the first, I won the second, and then I won the third, and yeah, it was that was the most I felt all night. I didn't care about Seb really. I was happy enough to lose, but I think I would have been a bit more upset if I lost against Jem.
Oh, you two are, as I said, you two are vying for that most popular sim racer in the world right now in terms of following and all that. But Chem's going to win. You're right. He's got the Turkish fan base. It's like Rio Haryanto with what was it, the Indonesians, one driver of the day. Except this time, Chem's actually good.
He's not been on any nights out with any F1 drivers, so I don't know if he has one. You know, that's the
well, exactly. No, that's true. That is
I'm
very
just
true.
joking. I'm just joking. Nah, he's such a good guy.
Can I bring up Porsche iRacing?
Yeah.
So you're going to qualify for it. Let's touch wood. I've got plenty of wood here. When you do, I'm getting cocky. I was commentating an event last week, and I had 2 commentator curses in 1 hour. So you know what? I'm not going to say anything. But if you do qualify for the series, you're representing Red Bull. Like you'll have a Red Bull livery. You'll be committing to it all rounds and going for it.
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I don't know if that will be the case, to be honest. At the minute, we're just going to stick with the F1 Esports with Red Bull, and we'll see what will happen. But at the minute, yeah, just the Porsche. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But yeah, at the minute, at Red Bulls, we're just tied with the F1 game, F1 Esports. So let's see what happens in the future. You never know. But yeah, if we do qualify, I really don't know how it'll work. I don't know how it'll work. We'll need to all sit down and have a chat and sort of see what's best. Because obviously, you've got sort of Seb and the G2 and sort of all us guys that have sort of moved away from our sim teams that are just sort of hanging about at the minute. But yeah, we'll all be sort of helping each other out and doing our best. And yeah, let's just see what happens. I can't really get into too much about that because I honestly really don't know. So it's yeah, one of these things at the minute, unfortunately. But yeah, fingers crossed. I've got the last week, Mosport was probably one of my best weeks for Porsche. So it puts me 3 points behind 18th, I think. So it's like one of the Williams.
I'll check it.
Well, is it Lothner or one of the Williams Esports? There's Marin Kolak.
And
Um,
Moritz. Lochner's
yeah,
20th from Williams Esports, which, as we said, may not be Williams Esports when he races in the World Championship. But you might take his spot. You're 3 points behind him. You're correct. So
yep,
you've
yeah.
got you've got a few rounds to go. You better be racing this weekend because I am listed to be on the coverage
Oh, really?
for the qualifying series. Yeah, for whatever the hour slot that we broadcast. I'm taking over Connery Maddock, who's going to be doing other broadcast duties. But do you think the series will take off? Like, I know the prize pool is a big thing, but this is great for iRacing. They're finally getting some great sponsorship with Porsche. Number one, do you
I
think
think
it
what
will
it,
take off? And number
ah,
two, do you think it was good killing off open wheel completely?
I'm a massive fan of open wheel, so I don't like the idea that it's been killed off. I think there should be like an open wheel, the same as like the Porsche and NASCAR. Um,
Yes.
just my opinion again. Another thing, I know there's guys like guys maybe like Freddie that maybe doesn't want this, and there's guys like me and Seb that would love it. But seemingly when they went to Germany for the Porsche event,
Mm-hmm.
iRacing or the guys who Steve Matt or whoever was at Germany for representing iRacing told everyone there might be a possibility that we do reverse grid races for WCS. Now,
Oh,
in my eyes, I think it would be awesome to have on a weekend. Like, I know it's a lot of commitment and stuff, but it's 100K, mate. Like, if you're going to win 40 grand at the end of the year, you've got to put in some time and dedication. So my perfect thing would be Saturday race is just how it normally is, 30 minutes, and then like either the same day or on the Sunday it'd be a reverse grid, and it would just make more entertainment, mate. Like I think the Porsches is going to be like a train simulator, 100%. Like you cannot get past any track you go to. I think two races at Mosport, I was the only person in the top 10 to overtake, and I overtook like two or three people. No one else moved. And that's because I have nothing to lose. I was just sending it everywhere. Because if they want to battle me and risk their points, bring it on. Like I've got nothing to lose. There's no stewards. There's nothing. So why do I need to take my time and watch out what I'm doing? Where there's guys that have been doing it all season long and just like cleaning people out. And I never cleaned anyone out, but I was maybe a bit more aggressive than I normally was, but I'm in that position I need to be at the minute. So it's
yeah.
but yeah, I like to see overtaking. I want to see Freddie and Benecki on the back row. How good would that
Yes.
be? That's what I'm saying. Like, and there's obviously some drivers that don't want it, but there's obviously some that do. But I'm just trying to think again as someone that's trying to push some racing, and I think a reverse grid race would be good for a spectator's point of view. Obviously, I can understand the organising in sort of 2 different days or two races in one day might not be easy, but it's
Yeah.
um it's an online game. We can do whatever we want, however we want. So
Good
just
point.
a just an idea to chuck in there, but it would be and yeah, I'd kind of like I'd even want to race the Porsche even more if it was reverse grid races. Right now, not fussed about it, but if you got the opportunity of having the chance and not always just being your qualifying lap mattering how it goes, yeah, I'd really enjoy starting from the back. It'd be pretty cool. It'd be good.
Do you
And
think F1 Esports have sort of, I don't want to say ruined, but sort of cost iRacing a chance at the open wheel world championship scene? As in, iRacing sort of said, it's going to be hard to get a sponsor for our Formula One style world championship now that F1 Esports has developed.
yeah, um, I don't think F1 Esports has done it to iRacing. I think iRacing done it to themselves in a way.
Yeah, I sort
They've
of
had
agree.
they've had
Yeah.
they've had the F1 car and different F1 cars for years now, with some of the best sim racers. Like not taking anything away from the gritty people that were in the F1 2018 esports event, but when you think of people like sim racers like Gregor and your Martin, I suppose, and other guys, um, they've had all these top sim racers that would blow any of these wee guys at the water, um,
Hmm.
in some circumstances, and they've done nothing for it. Now F1 Esports and well, now Vegas, now Formula E kicked it off. Formula One latched onto it because they're obviously smart, and
Hmm.
now Formula iRacing's kind of done the Porsche thing. So listen, it's good for everyone. It's the Porsche events. It's going to be good. F1 Esports is going to be good. Everyone's going to have something to kind of try and commit to and do, and yeah, a few years ago, you wouldn't have any of this, you know. So it's all good. Doesn't matter how it is, I suppose. It's all good in its own way. But I just like to see iRacing mixing it up again. You know, just like a 30-minute Porsche race on a Saturday. Is that it? Is that just do something more with it? You know, you've got one of the biggest sim championships going to ever be. Make it even better. And I don't know, maybe run it for a year, maybe change it. I don't know. I'm just my 2 cents anyway.
No, that I don't want to comment much because I may or may not. I have no idea, by the way, if I'm on the team for the Porsche World Championship. We'll see. Can't confirm anything, and even if I could, I couldn't. But I really hope it goes well. I'm pretty disappointed they killed off open wheel because that's my forte and that's what we like. But hey, end of the day, it's a great competition. Driving's still going to be the same. It's just a different type of car. It's a tin top, sort of different approach.
I think the F1 car as well. Oh, you do, man. Let's do some races together. The F1 car was far too complicated. Honestly, yeah, I love the whole everything being very complicated, like hard and technical, but it's just too much. Like I even enjoyed the 20, 30 laps I done last night at F1 2018 because it was just an F1 car and it was grippy, but it doesn't make me want to drive the iRacing F1 car because it was just. I think there's more grip on the Formula 3 car and Formula 3.5 than there is in the F1 car. It's hard to. It's not a great thing to say, but yeah, it's if it actually felt and drove like an F1 car, it would maybe still be a thing, But it's just it's not great at all, It's not a great F1 car at all, but. Yep, you never know. Things can change, and I've heard iRacing did say that they plan on maybe doing something in the future with single seaters as well. So, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed.
And when I did those analysis videos last year, I tested that McLaren out a lot. And when I first started getting into it, I didn't really make any setup changes or anything else. And I sort of felt like now I started to agree with what everyone was saying. Yeah, the car was a little bit complicated here and there, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's Formula One. This is what is realistic. The car is complex to set up, and there's other stuff going on. Like, you do have to manage the ERS, and it's not easy to do on your own. So, it took me 3-4 months, and there were 3-4 months of analysis videos that came through. And the more and more I learned about the car, that's where I started getting other drivers to come on and sort of with me doing those videos, and we discussed different aspects of the car that you could adjust. And I sort of enjoyed it. Look, after a while, maybe that's just because it was the only car I drove in sim racing for 3 years, but it was good to get back in the thick of things. So, hey, you're right. Maybe the next sponsorship could be a Formula One team coming in and doing a World Championship. Probably not for sponsorship or contract reasons, but
yeah, let's just say Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe an IndyCar World Championship. There's been talks of that for iRacing.
IndyCar Oval fixed. God, Bono would love that.
Hey, I'll join you two. Remember, there was supposed to be. I'll tell you what. There's supposed to be a Simon Racing report with myself, you, and Bono that has never happened. That needs to happen.
Yeah, man. I'll let him. I'll give him a message and say that I was on today and we were still talking about the three-way podcast. He'd love the sound of a three-way podcast.
I remember the first time I was behind Bono in a race. It was at Hockenheim, and we just came out of the hairpin. And I think he had a terrible start, and I had a great start, and we found ourselves next to each other. And this is exactly what went through my mind as I exited the hairpin. I was like, should I dive bomb Bono into the next corner? And I was literally thinking this, just to get some stardom. And he pulled away in the traction zone like no other. And I was like, well, there we go. I'm never going to see him for the next 60 laps. So that was the end of that. One more thing before we go. Do you like LAN events compared to online events? Are they any different? I feel like you talked about it with the sim you've got in the background. Like, you've got to practice on the sim that's going to be present in the LAN event. Whereas online events, there's lag and latency and this and the other, but you've got your own setup. You've got your own comfortability. You can drink water whenever you want, and you can, bang your steering wheel. You don't have to worry about people watching you and that kind of stuff. It's a big difference, isn't it?
I think some people look at it in different ways as well. Like personally, for me, right, as
Yeah.
well, if you've got a sim behind me like this Red Bull one, right, and they send you that, and you can practice on the rig that you're going to be on the stage with half the battle. You know, like if you turn up to a LAN event and it's a rig that you've never been on, a new set of pedals and a new wheel, in a way you're kind of screwed before you start.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You're never going to be on the limit with someone that's got the same pedal, the same steering wheel, the same seat, like everything. All these tiny wee bits just to have extra comfort and everything. They all add up in racing, even if it's in real life or if it's on the sim. So I personally feel that if I'm on the ball and if I've done enough testing, and if I'm ready to rock, I don't care if it's on a LAN event or if it's at home. Like once I get that screen in front of me and I've got the picture of the car in front, I'm in that car, I'm racing. Don't care if there's a
Mm.
1,000 or 5,000 people in the audience. Am I right? Like I don't feel that kind of pressure. Once I go, I go. Maybe like before it starts and all this, but as soon as you're actually focused in racing, I just treat it like any other race. Obviously it varies for everyone else a bit, but yeah, and I think the biggest part of LAN and at home is just equipment. You know, you've
Yeah.
got here's one massive thing to look at is Gregor for Vegas. Gregor was the quickest guy on the Vegas qualifiers. I ended up winning the championship, but because Gregor let past a few of the red line guys at the time, that didn't let him. Didn't matter if you won anyway. You were still getting the ticket to Vegas.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the input
but
lag. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So from at home, Gregor being the best and the quickest, and he was like really quick at points, and then he went to Vegas on like input lag, the worst pedals that someone's ever created for sim racing, the Thrustmaster things,
You were telling me about
and
this.
then
Yeah.
yeah, it was just awful. But then it showed you that I could go there and adapt to it quite quickly. So could Bono, so could some others, but Gregor couldn't. You know, so it's all about how you adapt to the kit on the stage is how I feel
Mm.
how it goes. And that was just a bit like myself this year with CSL stuff. It's just I don't know. I don't know. It was just I felt like I learned the game and I got really quick at F1 and then I just had to learn it on this wheel where I felt like if I had started on the CSL, I would never had the swap over phase that I had. But yeah, that's what it is. You can only live and learn and yeah, it's the same for Gregor at Vegas, I suppose. But yeah, it's I think that's why you've got to do so much more research now. It's not just about oh, I've qualified for an event. Oh, let's just wait till the event comes up. You
Mm.
basically, if you don't have the kit you're going to race at like the expo or some stage or wherever, you just need to go out and buy it. You know, if you want to win, you need to use what you're going to use on the day. You know, it's getting pretty serious this stuff now. You know, it's not just where I think Vegas was still a bit funny, like but not as funny, but it was a bit yeah, like it was still very I don't
New?
know. Very exactly, very new. Nobody really knew what was going on.
Yeah,
We're like,
ambiguous. I think ambiguous is the best word. Like confusing. No one knew how
yep.
this was going to end up.
With F1 Esports, the first year I went down to London, it was kind of similar, maybe a bit more going on. The last year, the end of the year last year, there, 2018, you could tell that this is more getting more esports. You know, it's kind of going
Mm.
down that route of sort
Yeah.
of everyone's got their sort of teams around them, and you know, draft picks and all this, and it's getting really cool. You know, but yeah, Vegas, it was very new, but yeah, it's only going to get bigger and better.
Which actually begs the question, because people have been talking about this for the past month. Now that you're big and you're doing more esports than you are real world sports, and you've talked about this before. You're earning more money than you ever have through gaming than you ever have through the real world in terms of racing. But
Yep.
do you now use sim racing as a platform to get a real world drive, or do you just do sim racing because you like esports? I might be wrong with this, but I feel like you're the guy who still loves real world racing more, but still enjoys the aspect of sim racing. Whereas I know some other sim racers have said they're not interested in jumping into like a Formula 1 car and driving a full season. You know, they just want to game all the time, which I disagree with. I'm probably on the if you agree with me, I'm probably on your sort of level where I would only do
Yeah.
sim racing, and that's part of the reason why I stopped, because I wanted it as a pathway to get into the real world, and I sort of realized that's not going to happen, so I went and got a real job.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, my look at it, well, like for me personally, I'm not trying to get a real life drive out of it. Like, I don't know. you've got people like Jem that are still trying to say that he's going to be in F1 on his Twitter bio and stuff. Like, he's never really won anything in his life at racing. I'm
Mm.
not being like, I don't mean it in a bad way or anything, but like,
Yeah, I know what you're
maybe
saying.
maybe won a couple of kart races like 5 years ago, and you're still trying to chase after it. It's everyone's different. Again, I'm not just saying Jem, but and then it's all good and well. Like, there's people that are meant to be sim racers that are going racing this year. Yeah, I could go and raise myself 150 grand this year, not a problem. But what do you do after that? What do you do after it?
Exactly.
Then you need 300, then you need 600, then you need 1.2. It's a horrible thing to get into, where unless you've got backers and unless you know people that can really support you with money, um, motorsport's just a hard thing to do. And it's someone like what you'll see next is Brendan Lee getting some kind of drive, because Darren Cox is the type of guy that does that with his esports and cars guys. And Brendan, with his 2 championships now, F1 Esports, probably
Yeah.
deserves a shot at something like that. I can't take it away for the guy. But again, if you don't do amazing in your first year, then you've got 2 years as sort of like a beginner's budget. They can still be over 100K, and it starts totting up if you don't do well straight away and you've not got the backers, etc., etc. Where yeah, sim racing for me is a career, and I see it growing. Esports, and like I say, it's not all about, for me. I don't need to sit at home and like wait for a competition to happen. I'm always out there, sort of building simulators for drivers or coaching, or yeah, I've actually been approached lately to host a few competitions myself.
Mm.
So you could basically, Seb Job's Formula 4 drive from last year. We're going to do something that's going to be exactly the same. So you're going to win a £50,000 competition to run Formula 4 for a year. You're going to get something that Seb never got this year. You're going to get like a full custom suit, boots, gloves, helmet,
Yeah.
the full job, and you're going to actually win this as a prize through sim racing. And I've sort of been approached to now sort of organise this myself and all these kind of things. So yeah, there's so much going on. But real racing for me, I know how hard it is to get into, and
Mm.
I was so disappointed in 2008 when I won the British Championship. I thought that was me going to just climb the ladders, but um, yeah, couldn't get the money. It was in the credit crunch in Britain where there was no money.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I wouldn't watch Formula One. I wouldn't watch touring cars. I wouldn't watch any racing because I couldn't race. It put me off of it. And sim racing slowly brung me back into all this racing, got me my love for it back, And so, yeah, I
Mm.
don't want to go down the route to try to race again and raise money because, yeah, I sat for 2 years writing emails to people all the time for sponsorship. And yeah, it wasn't an easy thing, so I can understand how hard it is for others. But yeah, sim racing's a new lease of life for anyone that doesn't have the money to get involved in real motorsport. You can race any car, any track, at any time, and there's now a possibility if you're good enough, you can make a living and make some good cash of it. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Otherwise, you just got to get to know Lawrence Stroll, and you might be able to find your way onto an F1 team somehow.
yeah, I'll maybe try and get Red Bull to take me to a race, and I'll try and become his best friend and tell him to start a sim company.
You should, by the way. I'm disappointed Red Bull have not sent you to the second test for preseason testing. You should be there right now.
Yeah, it's a thing as
No
well that
comment.
I hate to go and ask people to do all these things, as well. Like, if
Yeah,
they want to do
exactly.
something, they can maybe do something. But I just hate to be that person to go in and keep asking for bits and bobs and whatever. But
Mm.
I'm sure if it's going to happen, they'll have plenty of cool stuff planned and etc. So we'll see what happens, and yeah, hopefully get them to sponsor this podcast sooner or later.
Oh,
I'm just joking.
maybe. Well, the thing is, all right. So we've been going for 90 minutes. I've got to go because it's like 2:30 in the morning. Otherwise, I'll need to steal all those
Jeez.
cans of Red Bull from you. Can you plug? What do you have to plug? Do you have anything to plug at the moment before I let you go?
um, I'll give a bit of a shout out to obviously like Red Bull for what they've done over the last good few months with F1 Esports and factory stuff and the tours and the rig, etc. So a massive thanks to them. The two guys that are sort of behind the scene in contact with them, not mentioning any names, they know who they are. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard something like it died there. Um,
Uh,
a massive shout out to the two guys that are putting in so much work but not really anyone knowing who they are. And then a massive shout out to Fanatic as well. They've
mm.
sent over a few things lately to give me a try of, and yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, I think that's it for me, to be honest. Thank you for yourself for asking me to come on. It's been awesome again, just like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. Less
Good
cringy
to,
version of the Simon Racing Report too, which is better.
yeah, it's like we can almost see each other now. Good to hear your voice again. I've missed you.
Oh, great. Nah, lovely to hear you, mate. Lovely to hear you. You're getting lovey-dovey, man. I'm telling you. See, I'm not the one who's tired. You're the
Because there
one
was,
who needs to give me those Red Bulls.
yeah, there was a point as well. Remember that I said I was possibly going to come across this year, wasn't I? And I was going to meet up with you. Remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
time that? What was that for again? I was possibly going to come to Australia
Actually, I
to.
know what it was for. I don't know if we're allowed to say why, because I think you
Oh,
told me a few things. It was meant to be last year, 12 months ago.
yep. Yeah, I can't really remember what it was for. Was it? It wasn't. It
I'll
wasn't.
tell you later. I don't know if you can say it. I don't want to get you into
Right.
trouble. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
know what it is. Yeah, we were going. I was going to come over, and if I did, and if I ever do again, yeah, definitely, man. We'll catch a few beers or something together. It'd be awesome. But yeah,
100%.
thanks for having me on. It's been awesome, and hopefully you're commenting me. Hopefully you're commenting and commentating on me on Saturday, getting in the top 20 for the Porsche. Fingers
Yep.
crossed. We'll see how it goes.
Exactly. Touch wood. Everything goes well. We'll leave you to it. By the way, I need to help you with these plugs. You didn't plug your own website. Is it graham-carroll.co.uk? Is it? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's just what I used to use for really when I done Formula 4, not as much now. But yeah, just social media channels, to be honest. That's really
Yeah.
the only thing I'm using at the minute. Instagram and Twitter. Facebook's a bit dead by the sounds of it. Everyone goes on about, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Twitter
it's
handles below you the entire podcast for those who haven't noticed already.
please follow me, like my stuff. Got to try, got to try. That's again like it's my followers compared to someone like I don't know, like a Gem or something. He's a different league with the social media stuff. So we need to try
Yeah.
and catch up with him. And I've got a couple of YouTubers that are very interested in sim racing. They want to do a big feature that they don't do any sim racing or anything. Not F1 completely, just sort of cars and their thing, fancy cars, and they want to do some features on sim racing. So I've done a couple of deals that will get some followers for to have some cool stuff on the sim. So we'll try and get some more soon.
No, for sure. And look, I could talk to you all day. The only reason I'm stopping this podcast is because this glass of water over here is finished and I need to refill. So that's the only reason, man. I just realized 90 minutes crossed by and I didn't come in with any notes. I told you. I just came in ready to talk. You know, came in with my mind and it was great.
You said as well. It's not like an interview. It's more of just a general
Conversation.
Yeah, that's it. You know, just what's going on lately, and yeah, all these things. It's all good, man. No worries, no worries. Night. It's kind of flew by for me as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
What is it now? 20 past 3. It's almost lapse time. Porsche. Yeah.
All right. Catch you later, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me on, man. See you later on. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Simon Racing Report, which you can catch at the Simon Racing Report's website. That is the simonracingreport.com. It's at the bottom of the screen on the left, wherever the left is. I don't know if I'm being mirrored right now or if something else is happening, but it's at the bottom anyway. And you can like the podcast on Facebook and you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle's been there the entire podcast at Joni S. 8. I'm going to do the bouncy word thing. Let's see if I get this correct. Otherwise, it's going to be... I'm just going to look like an ass. JONNYESS8. Boom. That's my Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter for all F1 news, all sim racing news, all everything. Do what you got to do. What else can you do? You can subscribe on YouTube, comment on YouTube. Great to see a lot of comments coming through on YouTube. Join the discussion. Like it, share it, do whatever you got to do. I'm running out of ideas. I'm just saying the same stuff over and over again. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher. Leave a rating for the podcast too. We haven't seen enough of that. And if you want to grab the RSS feed, that is also available. So grab it. Finally, no analysis videos so far this year. Those won't come probably for a while, I can say at the moment, until if that Porsche World Championship comes into play, maybe a couple for those. Otherwise, we'll have some random ones throughout the year as well, so don't stress. But for my latest columns, I've had 2 released so far. One is on F1 injuries since the year 2000. All of them talked about and ranked, all categorized, more than ranked. So check that out as well. But the most popular one, had a lot of good feedback as well, has been on blasting off the F1 season. How can we improve these car launches? They're so boring. I watched the Ferrari one and it felt like I was at graduation. What am I doing? I don't want to sit through. Look, it's ranted all about in the column itself. Have a read as well. Share it around if you enjoyed it too. Don't forget as well, leave a donation if you want at the SimonRacingReport.com's website. Not pushing for those. It will just help me produce even greater content for the future. Exponentially greater content. That should be the Simon Racing Report slogan. Exponentially everything. You know, it's great here. You know, it's going to be a good year for the podcast. But thanks for tuning in. Episode 80. Graham Carroll. What a guest he is. Love chatting to Graham. We'll have him on soon for sure as well throughout the year. But hope you enjoyed. See you soon.